Hello, welcome to the United Stand. My name is Leven 2K and I'm joined by four amazing hosts to help me to unravel what is a shocking result. Manchester United have lost to Leicester. I can't even remember who it is, man. We just get beat by anybody nowadays, man. We've lost to Leicester 4-2. Just not a good game. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. You know, I'm sure people can tell. A lot of the people here with me aren't happy either. And I've never really been one to slag anybody off and all that. But the reality is, you know, we look at what's in front of us and it's not good enough. There has to be something significant that changes. And I'm sure we all know what it is I'm thinking here. But quite frankly, what we've seen so far this season from the managers, it's just not been good enough. It's not been sustainable. We were getting some results and people were going, oh, focus on the results, blah, 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 but it's not sustainable and we've been caught out. The time was coming where we'd be caught out. We're now going into an incredibly rough game of fixtures where we are playing some of the best teams in the league and we don't know how to win games. Like we don't know how we want to play. We don't know what our actual problem is, or at least the coaching staff and the players don't seem to understand what the problem is. And at the end of the day, we're going to hit a brick wall at some point where it just cannot continue any longer. I'm going to hand it over really to the amazing people here with me, because I could go on and ramble for years about why I'm very frustrated. But I'll start with you, Beth, because you're smiling and I don't have much to smile about, to be honest. But you're smiling and I want to know what you thought of this game. Give me the rundown here, Beth. That's not convenient. Well, anyway, I'm going to ask you, Kev. Can you give me the rundown here, Kev?
I'm back now. I think my wife just switched up for a bit, but I'll let Kev take it away.
Are you sure, Beth? You can go for it if you want.
No, Kev, you take it away. I'll come back in a second. My Wi-Fi just threw me off.
Right. Well, for starters, I'm looking at that game today, team selection. There was certain players that I thought, yeah, I understand why he started them. But for me, Harry Maguire was a massive gamble, which has not paid off. I think it makes... Listen, Harry Maguire would be like, yes, I'm fit enough to start the game, and I totally understand that. Yes, but he clearly wasn't fit enough. And at half-time, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking Vardy and Iheanacho are having the time of their life. They are chasing everything down, and Maguire's off the pace. So this now comes down to man management, where you look at it and go, well, why has Solskjaer started him? Any professional footballer will say, I want to start this game. Well, that is up to you to look at them in training and go, well, he's a bit off the pace. We've thrown him into this game. And listen, it's the first proper test of the season that I feel that we've had. And we've failed spectacularly. And the run of games coming up now gets worrying. And you get Manchester United fans looking at it and they will say, well, we're not that far off the top, and that. Today just seals it for me. We are, and people say Moments FC or whatever, we are just relying on moments of brilliance. Greenwood's finished today, contender for goal of the season, absolutely fantastic. And that's what we're living in, these moments of sheer brilliance. But why? We've got so many fantastic players on that pitch. You've got Ronaldo, for Christ's sake. I always look at it and I'm like, one of the best headers in world football. How many crosses did we put in today? Where was the width? Jadon Sancho plays out on the left. He played his best football for Dortmund out on the right. I do not understand that. And then you bring him off. I don't know what to say on it. Solskjaer is under pressure big time. He's putting himself under pressure. Some other United fans might look at it and say the players need to have look and have a hard, long stare in the mirror. For me, there's no game plan. You go to Leicester, they set about us the first 10 minutes. They set the tone for the game, took it to us, Manchester United. And for me, I think that's criminal. We should be going to places like that and attacking and going for it. But man management, game plan, what is it? Look at Leicester today. Game plan, Brendan Rodgers, a manager who knows what he's doing, and they've done a job on us. They fully deserve to beat us, and it's embarrassing. It is absolutely embarrassing. There'll be a hell of a lot more days like this if it continues with this team selection, and yeah, mic drop.
Yeah, it's funny though, because, you know, I'll come to you, Jay, here, because ultimately, you know, that Kevin said a lot there, and there are a lot of these things that we can unpack, right? There are a lot of small, minor or major things we can unpack. ultimately, so far this season, you know, when we've come up against the teams who are somewhat, you know, decent tests, the likes of Aston Villa's, Everton's, Leicester's, now the teams who aren't necessarily top 6 teams, but they're well drilled, well coached, well organized, we've struggled, we haven't looked good, and we've still not played the teams who we're supposed to be in some sort of pseudo title race with, right? And all of them have played each other, and they've all sort of, you know, touched their feet in the pond a little bit, but we're still yet to play any of them, and we're going into that first test against one of these big teams in just shocking form, Jay. Like, you know, surely this is just not going to be okay for us moving forward, you know, paired with all the problems that we've had in this individual game, no?
Hi, Leven, and everybody watching. I want to apologize to everybody watching that you had to sit through 90-odd minutes of turgid football from a once great club that's managed by a manager that is literally leading this great club over an abyss. I did an article this morning on the website, and I said this was the Hunt for Red October. Great movie, but if Ollie was in charge of the submarine would already be at the bottom of the ocean. Look, today, just to unpick a little bit of what Kevin said regarding Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire, for me today, guys, was the key common denominator in 3 of those 4 goals. I thought he was culpable for 3 of those 4 goals. If you were a guy, you're handing in a transfer request. Maguire had 1 training session in 3.5 weeks on grass, and he played this today. I've never been a fan of Harry Maguire. I've called him out time and time again. Obviously, he's defended in the English media because he's captain, but I've never rated him. So today, for a manager to play still injured Harry Maguire, who's culpable for 3 of the goals, that's on a manager. Guys, like, where do you go from here? It seems that every week we're having the exact same conversation over and over again, and nothing changes. Guys, I am blue in the face from espousing the analysis of his manager and his coaching staff. But I keep harping back to the point that, you know, we're only fans, and yet we can see the analysis of him. But the Glazers, the buck stops with them. He's the perfect frontman for them. He's going to be bland and, you know, Mr. Bean in press conferences. He won't court controversy unlike Conte or Jose Mourinho beforehand. So for the Glazers, he's the perfect frontman. So we've said 1,000 times in the show, guys, standards have dropped. Top 4 seems to be the race on Detch, but not good enough for me. So if you want to hear me say it now live on air, I say it. I've been all out since last May. I'm going to read it again. I'm all out. Have a look this morning at my article. I said today was a tipping point game for Solskjaer and the coaching staff to show that what have they learned thus far from stuttering, stammering over the line against Premiership cannon fodder teams. And that's probably been disrespectful to the likes of Aston Villa and Everton. But today, Leicester, first time we go up against a well-drilled side. Like, I mean, a proper well-drilled side. Like, I rate Brendan Rodgers, and we got smashed 4-2. At half-time, it was very obvious that Solimari and Tielemans were running the show. Vardy had attached himself onto Victor Lindelof, which we knew was going to happen. And what does Solskjaer do? Not just in his hands. He waits in until the 79th minute and brings on Lingard for Mason. Why would you do that? Like, you think Lingard is going to do jack shit? No, he's not. And then McTominay, the golden child for Matic. So, guys, this result today, it's firm at the door of the manager and the Muppet show that he presides over and the coaching staff. Like a couple of years back, just finish my point, the Portugal football team hired a legend player as manager, Stephen Staunton. He was left back, had over 100 caps. And basically, the FAI hired Bobby Robson to literally hold Staunton's hand. And once Bobby Robson got sick and was longer there in the backdrop, Staunton got exposed for what he was, a charlatan. Well, right now in the backroom team, you've got Mick Phelan holding Solskjaer's hand. You've got management by consensus with Carrick. So guys, I'm sick to my tits of his hand holding. Solskjaer was never going to be manager. He was hard of sentiment. A large portion of the fan base sang, I had to wait, blah, blah, blah. Woodward literally shat the bed and gave him the contract after that result against Paris. And the results then went downhill. I know, finished second, finished third. Lovely. That is a ceiling. We are a top 4 team, no more, no less. However, with the talent at our disposal, we should be challenging for titles and challenging for Champions Leagues. So get this clown out of the club now. Get in a proper manager with a proper backroom team, and maybe we can salvage the season.
But I wanna come to you, Alex, because we can sit and talk about it. We will get more in specifics when it comes to Ollie. But when you look at the game, of course, people are questioning the Maguire selection because ultimately Maguire didn't look right. He didn't look right, and he made mistakes, and that cost us points. But even beyond that, we didn't look any more likely to win, right? I'm looking at if Maguire didn't make the mistakes, we didn't look any more likely to go out there and win this game. We were outplayed by Leicester overall, and yeah, they capitalized on mistakes that were made. But in general, we just don't look good. Things aren't clicking, and we're playing against teams where our talent stacked up against theirs. It's not even in any sort of way, but yet we just get completely outplayed. What is the problem here?
I'm not gonna insult Solskjaer because at the end of the day, he brought me so many good memories as a kid and stuff. But some of the stuff, like what we're saying, we've touched already upon Maguire. I know some people don't rate him, but I think Bailly is a brilliant centre back. And it's if you're not going to use your squad, what is even the point of having the squad? Bailly should have started today. I literally tweeted that out before the game. I was really worried, knowing Ollie's track record. There was the quotes from Luke Shaw came out. I don't know if it was yesterday or whatever it was from the chat. I think you put it in, Beth, that he said that he hadn't trained barely at all, and then he got thrown straight back in the game.
I hadn't trained at all.
Yeah, without ever training. And Maguire, we've said already on the show already today that Maguire trained once and then he was just thrown back in. It's if you're throwing rusty players in, this is elite level football. It's not like playing down the park. You can't just go 3 weeks without playing and then thrown in against players of that caliber and then just expect to be brilliant straight away. Maguire is a good defender, but he got fed to the wolves today. He was terrible. Don't get me wrong; he was awful, and it's against his previous club. So obviously, he then has the added pressure of that going against it, being booed with every touch and everything like that. But it is just getting really, really hard to defend some of the decisions and stuff. It's I'm running out of excuses really. With the Everton result, the West Ham result, we got through by the skin of our teeth. Villarreal, we got through by the skin of our teeth. It's on the overlap. Gary Neville was talking about it. He's even the games we've won this season, we haven't really, apart from the Leeds game and arguably the Newcastle game, we've got through on the skin of our teeth, and it really is starting to get a bit worrying. And you then have to start questioning the manager. But with how this club acts, it's all well and good, saying oh, I want the manager sacked, He's not getting sacked until the very, very earliest he'll get sacked is the December in the Champions League. If we go out of that, which I think I've said it already on a previous show, it's a very, very real possibility of us going out in the Champions League. And I know after the Young Boys game, I was arguing with Jay, I was putting bets on saying we'll still top the group. But that was me thinking then that we were still pretty unmatched fit after the Euros and stuff. But it's continued on a downward trajectory since then. So I'm really starting to think after that Villarreal game, we absolutely scraped it. We now have Atalanta back to back, which they're no mugs. On paper, this should have been an absolute cakewalk, this group. But we are getting into very, very dangerous territory. And okay, you can say, playing devil's advocate, you can say that, oh yeah, no manager would do well with this squad because of how terrible the midfield is. But at the end of the day, you spent, what was it, overall, we spent close to 150 this summer without buying a defensive midfielder, and everyone knew we should have bought a defensive midfielder. Okay, Varane, for that price, you can't say no for that price. But Sancho, he will probably be a good signing for us, and we did arguably need a right winger. But I would argue very, very strongly that we needed a defensive mid a lot more than we needed a right winger with how good Greenwood is. And okay, he's not a natural right winger, but he's still a stopgap, a lot more of a stopgap than we have in that position than we have at centre defensive midfield. I don't think Matic was that bad today, but he's just not got the age. And I've said so many times, and I was saying before we went live, and I said it today, that people keep saying that, oh, you don't know anything. Think of the when we got back from COVID when Bruno and Pogba were playing together. But that midfield just gets run through every single game. Put Bruno and Pogba, you need to choose one of them. The best we've ever been under Ole was when we had Matic, Pogba and Herrera, and it's because it had balance. And it doesn't have to be that Bruno drops out, but it has to be one of Pogba or Bruno, I think.
Yeah, there is definitely a lack of balance, and I think a lot of the imbalance creates a lot of the problems. But where I'm going to disagree with you, Alex, here, and I'll pass over to you, Beth, because I want to get your thoughts on this, is, we can sit here and talk about the recruitment all we like. It's not going to make a difference. We could have bought the DM that we need. We would still be getting these kind of performances, right? And I made a tweet at halftime where I essentially said to people, look, this is why I've been saying that, we cannot play McFred. We're still not going to look like a good team because the problems are just deeper than the personnel, right? And the problems are deep. You don't even need McFred to know the problems are deeper than the personnel, because we have talented players on the football pitch, and it doesn't look very good. It doesn't look great, right? The cohesive unit isn't there, Beth. And so, people can sit here and talk about, selections and players and all this and all that, but the problems are deeper than that, no?
No, absolutely. I feel like with Ollie and the way he's been playing at the moment, like, the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter if we bought a DM or not. We desperately needed one. Of course we did. McTominay and Fred, I still stand by the fact they were at fault for a lot of the goals, a lot of the games. But at the end of the day, we don't play well as a team. It is individuals. We just don't work as a team, and it's not all down to the midfield. Look, we had Matic and Pogba today. Was it any better? Not really. It was a more attacking lineup, but we still didn't play well. We still didn't play well together. I mean, it just doesn't seem like there's any kind of like structure, coaching, like anything towards that way at all. Like Bruno, every single game, for me, he plays too far forward, way too far forward. And I feel like he's just told, do whatever you want all game. Make whatever pass you want, do whatever you want. That shouldn't be the case. Yes, he's got massive ability, and yes, he's got very good passing ability, he's got good shots, he's very creative, but he shouldn't be able to do whatever he wants all game. He needs to get back and defend, and he also shouldn't be running around like a headless chicken, wearing himself out. He should be told what to do, and he should have a plan going into each game to get the best out of him. And I feel like we're losing him at the moment as well, because there literally is absolutely no structure whatsoever. And I just think it comes down to now with Ollie. I mean, I've backed Ollie from the start. I always did. I said he needs his summer, he needs his squad in. And I truly thought once he got that squad in, he would start implementing these values, implementing a play style. We still got no identity, no style. And you can't bring in Varane and the best striker in the world and we're still getting outplayed by teams every week who have players that aren't as good as ours. And the only thing you can look at, you can say the players don't have a winning mentality, you can say the players aren't doing this. It's been going on for so long now. It's not the players, guys, it's the manager. It has to be. You give this team to any other top manager, they would do better than what we're doing now. We literally look lost on the football pitch. I watch Brentford literally play better than us. Brentford, they look like they have more of a style than us. And it's just such a shame to watch, because we had a break from football. I thought, you know what, I'm excited for club football to be back. And I did think this was going to be a tricky run, and I did think it'd be make or break. Was the luck going to come back? Was Rashford going to come back and bail us out? Well, he did, but sometimes when the cracks start to show and they keep getting deeper and deeper, you can't keep filling over them, and that's what we're seeing now. We're not going to have lucky escapes, and I do feel like the players as well are starting to realise that there is no game plan and there is no style. And I think Ollie's weighing over his head. You can tell when you look at him on the sidelines, he looks clueless. He looks like he doesn't know what to do. And again, his in-game management didn't make any difference. If anything, it got worse. From the start, that was my ideal team. That was a team that I'd want to play. How did we play? It's the same as usual. Literally, absolutely no cohesiveness, no structure, no game plan. And Brendan Rodgers, again, has outdone Ollie. And it's a shame to see. I like the way Ollie built a squad, and I like the players he's brought in, but he's not the guy to take us that next step up. And I feel like the way that we've played for the last how many games, even last season, it does reflect he has hit his ceiling, and there is no going past this, because you would have figured out a solution by now. It's not just a dry spell. This is how you play. This is how we are playing with Ollie, and for me, it's not acceptable. And to be out of a title race, in my opinion, because with the games we've got coming up, to be out of the title race by October as Manchester United Football Club with Ronaldo, Varane, Rashford, Sancho, Pogba, Bruno is absolutely disgraceful. And he won't go unless it's the Champions League. And I'm not saying I want him to go, but at this point, I can't see him coming back from it, and I can't see where he's going to take us. I don't see a direction, and I think there needs to be a change of direction massively.
The cracks are starting to show, right? And I said a few weeks ago, after that Everton game, I said ultimately one of the signings that is going to finish Ole Gunnar Solskjaer off is the signing of Ronaldo, right? Took dog's abuse on Twitter, people carrying on at me. What do you mean? You know, he's the game changer. He can win us the Premier League and all that. And yeah, you get wrapped up in sentiment. And Ronaldo, if you play to his strengths, which we didn't do today, he was anonymous in that game, then you will win more games than what you lose. But what I meant by that comment is when you see Ronaldo left out against Everton, brought on then to try and, you know, like, basically win the game. I know we went 1-0 up at that stage when he come on. But when you see Ronaldo going off and his body language, a player like that, and I always said the cracks will start to tell when you start hearing these stories. And we've had it previously with Moyes, Van Gaal and Mourinho, and this is where it starts to happen. And the story started breaking this week, basically saying that the players are not really on board with the management and the way that they're being trained. Once them stories start getting leaked, there is no going back. And we know that player power has got rid of previous managers. And all it takes now, regardless of whether Ronaldo played with Solskjaer and respects him as a player and that, all it takes is for Ronaldo now to be saying to the likes of Pogba, likes of Bruno Fernandes and saying, what seriously is the crack here? You know, what is the game plan? Very similar, right, to the way that Roy Keane went to that World Cup, played for Manchester United, the best team in the world, goes to Ireland with the World Cup. And look what happened. Roy Keane basically tore apart the Ireland camp, saying the training facilities were ridiculous compared to what he was used to training with. And he got sent home from the World Cup because he went on at the manager, went against the manager and said, I'm a winner. I'm not here for the crack. I'm not here, you know, win, lose, we're on the booze, that kind of mentality. Roy Keane was a natural born winner. We have that now in Ronaldo. And I really do think it's going to be the downfall of Solskjaer. I don't think Solskjaer knows how to use him. It's not rocket science. You play to his strengths if you're going to build the team around him.
The thing is, I don't actually blame the players though if they're starting to lose hope in Ollie, because if you were a player under the games that we are playing, would you not start to lose hope when there's literally so little direction? Like we said, Donny van der Beek, Eric Bailly, they must be there like, what do I have to, why am I even in this team? And I think even other players start to look at it thinking, hang on a minute, what's going on here? And as players, like, they know the game, they're going to question it themselves. They're going to question it the way we question it. And when the players don't believe in your game plan or your system, which, I mean, they clearly don't. I'm not saying there is much of one because I don't really see one. Then it's done. It's over. Because if you don't believe in it yourself, you're not ever going to succeed in it. And
it's all false promises. And it comes down to man management, because we've all sat here and debated that Solskjaer is basically telling 20-odd players that they're all part of his plans. They're all in the team. You can only play 11 players. He's telling Jesse Lingard he's part of his plans. You know, he gets a cameo today. You have to manage these players. You cannot tell them all that they're part of your plans. You have to have your strong 11 that you stick with every week. And then you have players that come in and impact the game.
But then this ties into what we were saying before about I can't remember. I think it was me, you, and I can't remember who else on the show, Kevin. What we were saying, I think it might have actually been Leven, actually, of that we have so many like big names now in the squad of like the likes of Pogba, the likes of Ronaldo, that you get these sorts of players and then you can't drop them. And so it doesn't matter whether the balance or who's like fit for, like, there could be games that Cavani would be a better fit than Ronaldo, but because it's Ronaldo, you can't drop Ronaldo. Like we saw the other day when against Everton, where we dropped him, and then you saw the Ronaldo storming off the pitch after with what happened. So he's in a difficult position. Then you have to question again: is he hasn't really got the credit in the bank of like for the likes of a Fergie, for example, that is a big enough of a personality to drop these sort of players, because he then has to fall back on it. Okay, I've won 13 Premier Leagues or whatever, so I can drop who I want. Who are you to speak to me? Whereas Ollie hasn't really got that credit in the bank.
The biggest concern for me is, I don't know how many people watching have seen some of the post stuff, interviews and whatnot. But just to sort of paraphrase, Pogba's obviously done an interview after the game, and he's essentially said, you know, we don't know the problem, right? I'm pretty sure he's actually said verbatim, like, we haven't figured out the problem, right?
Though?
And but this is the thing.
But he can't exactly
know the
say
problem.
we know what the problem is.
Yeah, but you should know by watching it if you are an intelligent football manager and a coach. Like, you should know by watching a game of football what the problems are, and they should be addressed.
Yeah, but Pogba said it,
Like,
so Pogba can't say, oh, here's the problem.
There thinking, well, I think it's this and this. He has been employed by Manchester United as a football professional, coming out every week saying, well, I think maybe this. I'm not sure.
No, he said Pogba, not Ollie.
Next week. Like, come on, give us a bit of practical analysis, like Clockwood.
I said
He said Pogba, not Ollie.
Pogba.
Yeah,
I'm not even about Ollie. Sorry. I
said Pogba, but what I'm trying to get at though is that this does still sort of, you know, get into the point Beth's trying to get at, because ultimately, right, if players don't understand what the issue is, that is very scary, right? And it all ties into the whole undroppable thing. Yeah, because the way I see it, right, is there's either two options. When it comes to the coaching, there's either two things that are happening. First thing, the coaches don't see the problem. They don't understand the problem. They don't see the problem. They don't know how to teach the problem. And so therefore, the players don't know, and so everything continues how it is. Second thing is, they are telling the players not to do these things, but the players still are doing these things. And that's a bigger problem, because if you're telling players to do something, they're not doing it, you drop them. No matter who it is, you drop them. If you're telling a player to do something and they're not doing it, you drop that player, regardless of who it is, right? And those are the two things that could be happening. And either one is severely bad to me. And so when you now hear Pogba after a game going, we haven't figured out the problems, that's scary. Like, so what's going on? What are you working on? What are you practicing? Because these things, you know, you have world-class players in this team, and if they don't know how to work together to win games, we're never going to get anywhere. So what's actually happening in the training sessions?
We have no identity as a team. I would be prepared, right, to be beaten, and we were well beaten today by Leicester 4-2, if that was just a bad day at the office. And we've had them in the past. But when you can't see any vision, any style of play or anything, that's the thing that really scares me. And when I look at the run of games coming up, that's where, what are we? I hear all this bullshit
we got away with it beforehand because it was counter-attack football with long balls, and Ollie used to park the bus and then do long balls and counter-attack. Guess what? People have cottoned onto it now, so it just doesn't, it can't happen.
The style of
ran out of ideas.
The style of play thing, I really strongly disagree with, that people say we don't have a style of play. To me, no, but I'm saying we play exactly the same way every single game. So if you think it's a shit style of play, then it's still a style of play. So the people that say we have no style of play, we have a style of play. It just isn't very good. Because I don't see us changing it, like having no style of play as if we're just going in random directions every game. But I see us playing exactly the same way every single game.
The style of play is having no style of play.
Yeah,
that is what it is.
And yet any other team in the Premier League, like you said, the likes of Brentford, Wolves, Aston Villa, any of them, you know when they rock up at Old Trafford, what you're going to get from them. And the main thing for me is Manchester United, great individual players, fantastic, Galacticos, all that shit, whatever you want to say, you put them on a pitch, there's no team. There is no team or anything. There is no I in team. We are a team of very good individuals that do not play as a team.
Jay, I want to hear from you here, Jay. You know, when you have now players, you know, openly basically saying that they don't know what the problem is, we're going into our hardest run of fixtures. What happens now? Because we can't go in. You know, if you've watched the way Liverpool have been playing the past couple of games, we can't go to that Liverpool. You know, we can't go. We're not actually going to football, and they can't come to us, and we don't know how to actually play together and win games. So what's next? What do we do now?
Okay, Leven. First and foremost, let's stop beating around the bush here. Solskjaer was never good enough to be manager of this club. He would never be good enough to manage this club. He's tactically naive. You can go on and on you want, guys, about systems and style of play, man management, in-game management, all the lovely gloss that we put on him. He's just not good enough. That's just the cold hard facts, guys. I'm sick to death of watching this shit every week. Okay? His coaching staff are not good enough. They're the facts. And anybody who wants to come at me now and argue the point, please come back at me. They're the facts, guys.
Jay, this is the thing. That might be true. That might be true. They may have never been good enough, but they are here. So I'm asking you, what now? Because we can sit here and say they weren't good enough all we like. That might be true. But they are here and we are in there now. And we can't give up on the season. We're still at the start of the season. We have plenty more games to play. And, we can't just afford to just sit here and give up on the season unless we're all just going to stop watching United. Cool. But what happens now? What do we do next? Is what I'm trying to get at here.
Right. The risk-averse 4-2-3-1 formation that got us second and third place has been found out by tactics managers. I thought today Brendan Rodgers basically, he brought Solskjaer to school today, and he showed Solskjaer what he was. For me, the only thing left for Solskjaer is take the shackles off that team, go back to the 4-3-3, which in getting jobs predicated on. I know back then he had Herrera, he had Pogba, he had Matic. So why can he not just take the shackles off, go back to 4-3-3, and just go out on your sword? Because right now he's going out on a whimper. If Paul Pogba, this exalted so-called world-class winner, World Cup winner, Nations League winner, can turn up for France, I know the argument is always going to be, but he plays with better players. Apart from the midfield, I don't think he's playing with that many better players.
Agree.
Let's be fair. Apart from the midfield, he's not playing with that many better players. So for somebody like Paul Pogba came out today in a post-match interview. Now, guys, I haven't seen the interview, so it's very difficult for me to analyse something I haven't seen. The very fact, his point is, we don't know what's going wrong. So that goes back to, what the fuck were they doing in pre-season? What did Solskjaer and his so-called coaches work on for the last 2 weeks? They knew they had.
What's he done in culture midweek?
Precisely. But look,
Exactly.
Matt, look, okay, for last 2 weeks, a lot of players weren't on international duty. Matic wasn't on international duty. No, he wasn't. Okay. Now I thought Matic today actually had an okay game today. For me, he was actually decent enough. But again, it was Matic up against Solimari and Tielemans all by himself, because Paul Pogba, for me today in midfield, the amount of times he went missing in action for me today was just whimsical. But again, Pogba gets a free pass because he's a so-called world-class player, gets a free pass in the fan base, which I'm sick of as well. For me, guys, back to your question, Leven, literally, Ole, take the shackles off, go out on your sword, play 4-3-3, and try and rescue the next 8 weeks. Because if you don't, mate, you're ready for the club. It's going to be changed.
Hello? Okay, Jay's back. We couldn't hear you at the end there. But I want to question you on this, Jay, because I don't think Pogba was amazing today. But I think it's unfair to single him out because, one, there were other players who I just don't think were amazing. But two, it hits on a bigger point about players in our team. Somebody earlier said, they like the composition of the team or whatever. I completely disagree, because I look at a team where we have lots of players where we're not playing to their strengths and we're not using them in their best positions and we're not playing in a way to get the best out of him. You look at Pogba, a classic example. You talked about France or Juventus or whatever. Yeah, maybe the talent now that we have is on a similar level to what those teams had. But the key difference is their systems are catered to Pogba. You look at Sancho, the way we play now is not in a way that is well suited to get the best out of Sancho. You look at Ronaldo, the way we've played with Ronaldo, and that's the reason why when I see people saying, well, why did we even bother with the Ronaldo thing? Because the way we've been playing, as Kev has said earlier, is not suited to Ronaldo. So we have a bunch of these players who are brilliant players, they have the talent, but we're not actually playing in a way to get the best out of them. So of course we're going to see the stinky performances we saw today. Like you said, the 4-3-3 thing.
The only way that we're
4-3-3
playing
against
is
Villarreal.
to Bruno, realistically. But when he doesn't show up, then it's nothing.
And even with that, we saw the 4-3-3 thing against Villarreal. It didn't work because they've not actually, we can, even if we just change to the 4-3-3, there has to be more than that. When we played the 4-3-3 against Villarreal, the players didn't, out of possession, they didn't even know what they were doing. They looked like players were still playing. Bruno, we were playing the 4-3-3, we were playing with 2 8s apparently. Bruno was still playing as a number 10 in defence, right? So even if we do change
So
to
was
this 4-3-3
Pogba in
or
that
whatever,
game.
in that game as well, exactly. So, even if we do change the 4-3-3 or whatever, these things are still going wrong.
Leven, that's the point, okay? A well-coached, well-drilled team can revert from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-3-3 in a game at drop of the hat if they're well-drilled and if they've been employing it enough times in training, okay? I coach young under-9s rugby, okay? And kids learn basic pass and move, pass and move, pass and move. We don't even fucking do pass and move. A basic, like, today, one element today, right? I wrote it down here. It's the 43rd minute, okay? Johnny Evans, centre back Leicester, was on the ball for 10 seconds standing there. And nobody pressed Johnny Evans. 43rd minute, first half, nobody pressed him. And eventually, Tillemans came back from the ball. He was standing there looking for something to happen, and he wasn't pressed. The movement from our midfield guys, we're like zombies in midfield for movement.
That isn't just the midfielder.
That's the attack. If you want pressing from the front, you need your attackers to do that.
But this is something that me and Kev said before, and you guys all like shot me and Kev down when we were saying, okay, Ronaldo is a better goal scorer, but we play better as a team when Cavani is our striker. You think if Cavani's playing and Johnny Evans has the ball, you think he's going to have it for 10 seconds with Cavani playing? And I don't think you were on that show, Jay, because I assume you'd actually would be on the side of me and Kev with that Cavani, if Johnny Evans has the ball for 10 seconds, Cavani within 2 seconds is on him, all over him. Cavani is like such a massive miss for this team. I don't care what people say. Ronaldo is obviously one of the best players of all time, but Cavani is a better fit in this team if we want to actually okay, you can say if we had a different style of play, then maybe Ronaldo would be better. But under the Oli style of play, Cavani is a better striker than Ronaldo, and people can come at me all they want. I don't care.
Alex, you're spot on, Alex, right? You hit the nail on the head there. Under the Solskjaer style of play, Cavani is definitely a better fit. I agree with you 100,000%. So, would logic not dictate to Solskjaer and his merry Muppets, the coaching staff? Okay, we now have the GOAT striker, arguably of all time. We need to make some changes. We supply this marksman with ammunition, game in, game out. You give Ronaldo 4 chances in a game, 4 decent chances. He'll score 2. Let's be fair, he will. Okay, he will. So Ronaldo, he's not going to sprint around like Cavani does. That's not his game. I don't think it's really ever his game. But today, there was numerous times today where I even saw Ronaldo coming deep for the ball. Like Mark always used the phrase regarding centre forwards, graveyard shift. And I flagged off Martial many times for his lack of movement and his lack of pressing ability. But to see Ronaldo today coming back deep, it was a point today where Ronaldo was coming back deep beside Armand Bissaka just to get a touch of the ball. Because it goes back to, guys, what the hell is happening on the training ground? None of us know. And Paul probably doesn't know what's happening on the training ground.
The thing is, though, guys, literally, let's just take a step back. Even when we have Cavani in the team, and Cavani is a great striker, I rate him highly, we're still not good. We still don't play well. Cavani does a lot of work, I think, and we still don't play out. Yeah, but this is the thing. Isn't it down to the manager that you've got Cavani is a great top striker, but you've got the best, in my opinion, literally the best player in the world, and you can't get a tune out of him? That is a problem. That is a problem for the manager. You can't just chuck in the best player in the world and think, oh, you'll take Cavani's place up front, we'll stick him in there, and then just play the same crap every week. You need to cater this style to Ronaldo. And the thing is, Ronaldo, to get the goals that he's got, he's done pretty well, I think. And yeah, he's not going to press our game, but guess what? He's the best player in the world. And you saw how he played for Portugal. You saw how he played for Portugal.
You run into massive problems when you do that, though, because do you not remember us under with Zlatan, when Zlatan then doesn't score, when you become so that reliant on one player, like how I know that if we were to fully cater to Ronaldo, then we'll come exactly how we were like with Zlatan. Zlatan was obviously brilliant for us, and Ronaldo would then be brilliant for us. But then if you go against a team that then nullifies that threat, and then you have absolutely nothing left.
I'm not saying we have to just get balls to Ronaldo constantly, but he's literally not even been given like a chance in the first half, realistically. He's not even given a chance. I'm not saying it all has to come through Ronaldo. You can still have passes going to Bruno, passes going to Rashford, players cutting inside. You can still have all that, as well as creating chances for the striker. We don't create any chances. It's just Bruno taking 50-yard shots every 10 minutes. Like, we don't create chances, and that's the point. How is he meant to score out of nothing? The people are thinking he's bad at the moment because he doesn't press and he comes deep a lot. He's coming deep to get the ball and he doesn't press because that's how he's adjusted his game. Would I like him to press more? Yes, I would, but he's not getting a sniff. And he's playing with the striker.
We don't create as a team, but statistically, we have literally the most creative player in the team. Last season and this season, Bruno has been the most creative player in the league. So it just shows again that when you have a quiet game, of course. So in a game like today where Bruno doesn't show up, then we're again nothing. We're not creating anything. So we're again relying on one player.
That's the thing. We can't just keep going through Bruno every time. It's got to be other players coming into the team.
Out of interest, right? You can only select one player, Cavani or Ronaldo, both fully fit, fully firing. You can only choose one. I still personally believe there is a way of getting both of them in, but if you could only choose one to set the tone for the team, and for me, if you want to play pressing football, Cavani offers much, much more than Ronaldo. I'm not slating Ronaldo. I'm saying Ronaldo hasn't played that position as long as Cavani has. Cavani is far more experienced. Ronaldo's gone from being a flying winger to moving in, a bit like Ryan Giggs did, from being a winger, sort of dropping in because the pace isn't what it was when he was a teenager. But who would you choose? You've got one to choose to lead and be your number 9 and go out there. Let's say, for argument's sake, in a game at Anfield against Liverpool.
Easy.
I love Cavani, but I'd choose Ronaldo every day of the week.
But what, for style of play, or just the fact that it's Ronaldo and
it depends. In how at the moment, as things are, I'd still pick Ronaldo because I feel like Ronaldo can get you. Like, Cavani is a very good striker, but Ronaldo for me, I've seen the way he plays for Portugal. I've seen how he's been over the last how many years. He's literally the best player in the world.
You can't base games on Portugal.
It doesn't matter any other team in this world, any other team. I'm telling you now, Ronaldo's in front of Cavani.
No, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with like people that go on about like Pogba for France. International football is so much easier than Premier League football. You can't compare the two. And it's like Cavani is a better striker. Like we've already had mine and Beth's answer in the past about it, and Leven. So Jay, what would your answer be with that? If you had in a big game, like when we're going up, we're going to have big games now, and take away the fact that it's Ronaldo, take away what he's done in the past, put it as current Ronaldo. If you didn't know it was him and just his current ability,
because of the management,
versus Cavani.
It's because
Cavani is so much better in these sorts, like in terms of making the attack flow, though.
Because it's because of the way we play, though.
Beth, first and foremost, comparing international football and Premiership football is comparing apples and oranges.
No, exactly. I said for the last few years as well. He's still one of the best players in the world. It doesn't matter.
But that's because you're thinking because it's Ronaldo. It's just like it's Messi, Ronaldo. Obviously, are the two best players ever. But I'm saying in terms of the current player, take away the name, current Ronaldo versus current Cavani. If you had them in like the choice between them two, forget what they've done in the past. Those two current players in a big game against Liverpool or City, who would you choose?
Ronaldo, still.
Never.
He's.
Okay, wait. Can I stop this for a second? No. Can I stop this for a second? I wanted to listen to this just to hear it play out. I wanted to see if you guys would get to the point that was making sense. We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere because wait. Ultimately, guys, we don't have to make that choice because you can go with either and still avoid the problem. Both of you have been focusing for some weird reason. The point of the argument has gone to a weird place. You can be effective with both because cool. If you look at what was one of our biggest problems in this game against Leicester, their back four had way too much time to ping balls through the lines. That is true, right? And so how do you combat that? The first thing you think is, okay, maybe if you had a striker that was doing more like a Cavani, cool, fair enough. But on the other hand, you don't always need that because if you had somebody in maybe who does work a bit harder, right, like a Martial or somebody, you could say to Martial, you could put Martial on the team and go, you go and press from the front, and Ronaldo, you just cut off the passing lanes. You don't have to do. You know what I mean? So a good coach would find a way to do both. So we don't have to make that choice between, oh, you play Ronaldo, or you play Cavani. Ultimately, you just need somebody who's going to set it up so that you nullify that problem. Because it doesn't have to become Ronaldo versus Cavani. It has to become, how do we solve that problem? Yes, the fact that we allow teams, we invite teams, we invite pressure on ourselves, right? I don't know if that's because Oli wants to play on the counter-attack or whatever, but we invite teams to come and attack, and we don't do a good job of actually stopping that. You need pressing from the front, you need to cut off the passing lanes, you need to press the centre-backs. You can do both with either. And yes, Ronaldo historically doesn't defend, Messi is the same thing, that's fine. And a lot of managers probably don't like that. Oli has chosen that he wants to go Ronaldo. And so if you're going to do that, right, you need to understand one of Ronaldo's weaknesses is he's not going to press on the front. How do you deal with that? You've got to put other people in place in the team to do that work that he's not going to do. And that's okay. But we haven't done that. And so you end up with games like today where Johnny Evans could have had a flipping Coke and a beer, and he could have sat there and ping. He looked like Paolo. He could have sat there and ping balls around all game long, and nobody was going to stop it. And that's an issue. And that's not just Ronaldo. And so I want to get away from this because it's not player focus, right? I could do this with other players in the team. Greenwood scored a great shot, but I could say the same thing about Greenwood. He wasn't doing no defending from the front. I could say the same thing about Sancho. I could say the same thing about all the players I like in our team. Ultimately, a lot of them are great players. You might like them, you might not, but we can't single any of them out because there are so many more issues than just them as an individual. The system isn't working, and it's not been working. A lot of the problems we were talking about last year, still problems now. We can't get a good link between defense and attack. We can't seem to handle significant spells of possession where we need to produce patterns of play. And you could see actually, right, when there is even the tiniest hint of a passage of play, we are effective. That ball from Lindelof to Rashford, we've seen them do that ages, and it works because Rashford knows.
There's nothing wrong with that because it does work.
And that's my point. If Rashford knows, if I bend my run now, Lindelof will find me. He doesn't even need to look. I bet he doesn't even need to look at Lindelof. He knows if I bend my run now, Lindelof will find me. That's what it's all about. Players need to have an understanding, and the players don't have understanding within each other. When there is understanding, we see the brilliant football, but most of the time there isn't that understanding, and that's all we want as fans. We just want the players to know what the flip they need to do together to win games. That is the problem, not an individual.
Of just what I was going to say, sorry, just to butt in really quickly of what I said on the past show, I think it was even last week, that you'll see as soon as Rashford's back, that with this style of play, whether you like it or don't like it, that Rashford in this team makes such a massive difference. He's come back in within 20 minutes, he's already scored again. It was obvious that it would happen again because he's so crucial to how Oli wants to play. And whether you like it or not, and I say as well, I don't really like how we're playing at the moment, but Rashford is absolutely crucial to this team with how we play. Yeah. And now he'll be literally starting again he'll start against Atalanta. He'll start every game from now on because he is so important to how Oli wants to play.
I think Rashford's just quality in general.
Yeah, exactly. And it's ridiculous that people don't rate him, honestly.
He suits Oli's style. He does suit it, like Alex is saying, but his pace is so effective. And I do think he's got major talent, and I think now we are going to see that. But I mean, Leven, you said it how it is. All them problems that we have, but I guarantee you, this time next week we'll be saying the same thing.
Oh, 100%.
Ollie, he doesn't understand. Like, he needs to get to this place from this place, but he has no route there. Because he's not capable of doing it. He's not that class of a manager to do it. And it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate because we all wanted it to happen. But it gets to a time, and I've backed Oli from ages, and I've got to that point now where, like, I've seen it, and there's been every single thing you can go through. And some people who are still clinging on will say the CDM thing. But we've made this excuse, getting his squad an excuse, made that excuse. There's not really any excuses left.
The CDM thing is an excuse, but at the same time, it's an excuse that he could have resolved himself because he is the one at the end of the day that makes those transfer decisions. We've said on the show, literally a year ago, that anyone with a brain knew the main position we needed was a CDM. So he knew that as well. Surely, if we know that without any football qualifications, how does he not know that?
City don't have a striker. I know midfield's more important, but Pep finds a way because he's a class manager. It's what people do. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always had a problem, when we talked about the coach and stuff and whatnot and the things that need to improve, it's always like, you know, we've all been to school, right? When you were in school, I know some of you, it was quite a long time now, right? But you know, we've all been to school at some stage in our lives. You know, some teachers can get the point across to you better than others, right? Simple as, you know, you might like geography because your geography teacher, you understand everything about metamorphic rocks and all that, but your maths teacher can't get anything through to you, right? Ultimately, the reality is with our coaching staff, you know, maybe they do have an idea. I don't think they do, but maybe they do have an idea of what these problems are and how to fix them. They can't seem to get it through to the players. And that is the important thing. We need to get through to the players because we have much more difficult games ahead of us. And so if they can't get through to the players, a decision has to be made. But the sad thing is which we sort of talked about briefly, and I want to get into it a bit more now, a decision isn't going to be made, right? We know the Glazers. A decision will not be made unless it affects our chances, unless we're in a position that affects our chances to get the Champions League next year, right? We know this already. And it's a problem because we could end up in a position where the season becomes unsalvageable and then they'd sack him off. But then now we're just in a whirlpool of just a mess where we have a pretty unbalanced squad, players who are going to be unhappy, players whose contracts are expiring at the end of the season, no real direction, no real vision. And then all of a sudden you end up in a position where another 3 years or another 4 years or whatever. So, you know, this gets very messy, but I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I want to hear from Kevin J a bit because, you know, we had a great debate here between us. I want to hear a bit more from Kevin J.
Do you know what, Leven? I'll let Jay speak. I've actually been given permission from the powers above. I need to actually leave now, believe it or not.
Nope.
I'm just going to go to the pub and drown my sorrows. So if that's all right with you. And can I just say earlier, I've actually got a table booked at a restaurant. That's why I need to leave early. But there was a lot of people picked up in the comment section that was laughing earlier. And this won't even sound funny probably to any of you. But somebody put in the comments, wow, look behind Jay. He's got a corded phone. Not seen one of them in years. And the more I looked at Jay and the corded phone on the wall, I was like, wow, I've not seen one of them in years as well.
Jay's old school with it.
No. It's very simple. It's to let people in downstairs in the apartment. Very simple.
Fair enough.
Before you go as well, Kev, can I just say that your video of the dartboard and stuff was like the most.
Oh my god, I was cracking up at that.
So I showed it to my other half and stuff and everything, and I was just cracking up laughing.
Yeah, I had a great old night. Thank you. I hope you all did as well. Right, I will sign off and I'll leave you to it, but I've enjoyed that anyway. Thank you.
See you later, Kev. It's always a pleasure having you, man. Always a pleasure having you. But Jay, I'll come to you, right, when it comes to, you know, and I just feel like we're going in circles because I think the bottom line, we all know what it comes down to, but you know, we have these runner games ahead. It doesn't look like anything's going to get any better because a lot of the issues we're talking about were problems ages ago and they still haven't been fixed. But we know that nothing's going to be done because the Glazers aren't going to have a problem, right? As long as they feel like we're still okay to be able to get Champions League football, nothing's going to be done, right?
Well, first of all, Solskjaer has messed up our day so badly that we wasted, I should say, the last 10 minutes espousing their virtues. Who should play Cavani or Ronaldo? That should not be a conversation today, guys. It should be a conversation.
100%.
I sat there for the last 10 minutes thinking, I'm bored. This is bullshit.
They're both great strikers.
Seriously.
I think they're two of the top three strikers of the past decade as well, like in terms of goals scored.
I mean, can't get a tune out of either of them. I mean, Cavani's still, even he's gone off.
For today's narrative, that conversation for me was not irrelevant for today's narrative. Let's get that out there. Look, we are where we are, and we know why where we are. And Leven, you alluded to it. Blazers are happy with top four. Standards have been progressively lowered since 2013, since the last point in time. The Ole inners, the people that go to home away games, all credit to them. Today, when the first goal went in, I could hear the chant, "Oil's at the wheel." Again, all credit to the 10,000 travelling away support. I wish I was there with them, but I certainly wouldn't be saying "Oil's at the wheel." I just don't get the fact that people can let sentiment and the fact that a once great player, cloud judgment of what to see here now. Past and past, the future is still unwritten. And the future with this manager, guys, I think it's predictable as a Dwayne Jock Johnson movie. We're going nowhere with him, and that's just the way it is. And that should be the conversation today. I know it's a tough one to have, and it's not a conversation that we like to have, but that's just the way it is. Like, we've got a very tough game coming up on, I don't know if it's Tuesday or Wednesday against Atalanta. And if we turn up with the same dross against Atalanta, we're going to be here during the week having the same conversation yet again. And that's just what it is. And that is on the board, as I said, guys, the floor standards, and like Solskjaer, because yes, man, and fans would back him no matter what. But I'm not there for that. Shouldn't be the club. It's not good for him. And I cannot put a finer point on that.
Yeah, and look, Jay, there have been very sort of defining moments in his tenure as the manager where we can look at and go, that was really bad. You look at the Spurs game, you can look at the loss against Istanbul, right? This performance today definitely is in that category, right? Hello?
Look, I can take losing a football match. Okay, you win, lose, or draw on any given weekend. That's just the nature of the beast. But it's the nature in which we lose. Like, if you lose by a last-minute winner and you play your team off the park, that's just football. But the way that we lose games, it's bordering on embarrassment. Like, anybody now can feel that can rock up to Old Trafford, give us a game, and walk through some points. And that's how it's been for the last couple of years. I know a lot has been made of the amazing away record. Unfortunately, it was 28 unbeaten or 29 unbeaten games away. I'm glad that record is gone, because there's no trophy for that record. So I'm actually glad it's gone. If anything, it's a monkey off our backs, because it's so what you're unbeaten away. And the vast majority of those unbeaten away games were during COVID against no fans. So that unbeaten run was shallow for me. But I think we need to shift the narrative now to what changes would you guys make going forward that nothing less than a win against Atalanta will do. So what changes would you guys make? Let's get it back to you guys now.
I'll let you go first with that, Beth.
This is the thing, like, I don't know, because under that was my team, the team that was today, apart from obviously Varane and he's injured, and I would have played Bayern instead of Maguire because he still hadn't trained, but like, that was my team. Pogba and Matic in the midfield, Sancho on the left. Obviously, I'd probably bring Rashford in, and because you can't drop Greenwood because of obviously that goal was just ridiculous, and I actually thought he was playing quite well in the first half as well. And I'd go with Ronaldo up front. Obviously, you heard how I feel about Ronaldo. So that literally is my team. And today, when we started playing, like, I was like, oh, right, I've been asking for this team. I've got this team, and it's still the same crap. It's down to the coaching and the management. What he needs to do is he needs to, one, like, bollock him, basically. He needs to tell him, and he needs to think about in the next couple of days what are quick things he can do to make something of this team. There's nothing you can really do in a few days that's going to massively change everything, but there's little things that you can do. Mentality, passion. Do you want to stay in this Champions League? Working on things that will get you goals, getting crosses into the box to Ronaldo, working on compositions with the fullbacks and the wingers, trying to pass the ball quickly through the midfield, know what midfield you're going to go with, and work within the whole, like, with whatever time you've got, making sure that they're going to be able to get hold of that midfield. Defensive, where's your line at? Is it going to be Lindelof and Maguire? How far back are we going to be? How far forward are we going to be? We can't get caught like we did at Leicester. These are all things I'll be going through. It's not massive changes, but there needs to be something done. That's the team that I would pick. It's just the way it's being coached isn't good enough, clearly, from what we've seen. So he needs to work on how he's going to get a tune out of these players and how he's going to get their mentality back up and thinking they can win this game, because they're like, how badly have we played and how luckily have we won the games that we've won? As a player, your mentality is going to be on the floor right now, thinking, "Oh God, like we just got beat by Leicester. We drew to Everton and we got beat by Aston Villa. That's not good. You're not going into that game as a big game player. You're going into that game thinking, oh, Atalanta, like, oh, it's going to be a hard game. You should be going into that game thinking, you know what, Atalanta don't have a chance today. We're at Old Trafford, we're beaten." And that's what Ollie needs to get into these players' heads, because it's a lot about mentality now. The coaching, you can't do that within a few days. But there's a lot of areas I need working on.
Alex, where do you stand on this? Because of course, I'm sure you'll have your opinions on what needs to change moving forward. But ultimately, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people listening to this going, well, guys, a lot of these things are things that haven't been fixed for years now. So what good is even talking about all this? Where do you stand on the changes that need to be made in this, upcoming run of fixtures?
The not being fixed for years thing is absolutely spot on with what it seems to be of like just the post-Ferg era of like, I've always felt, and I've said it so often on the show, of that whenever we go against teams that we're expected to beat, we always seem to bottle it. And it's under Moyes, it's under Van Gaal, it's under Jose, and it's under, this isn't a new thing. It's like, and okay, you can say, okay, Leicester could give us a competitive game, but this has been a constant thing always. Of the players we have just seems to really struggle to like bring it when it actually matters. And in terms of the current team, like, it is really hard, because I feel like a lot of the stuff gets picked with names. I've said so many times about the Pogba Bruno thing. I've said again about the Ronaldo Cavani thing. And I feel like we need to just like kind of look past the names and just think of what would play better as a team. But then again, it just depends on the manager, because I think with this current manager, I'm really like struggling with it, because on the one hand, he gave me so many good memories when I was a kid, and so I don't really. It's not like with Moyes. Like Moyes, I like hate Moyes, and like I'll gladly slander Moyes any day of the week. And I feel like I stuck with Van Gaal, I stuck with Jose, to an extent with both of them, and with Ollie, I just feel like so much like loyalty to him because of like what he gave me as a kid, and like I feel like people, the main people that are against Ollie, like they don't give him any credit for what he has done, and he has done a lot of good.
Yes.
But then he's like built this team, and okay, you can say that he's been given, what is it, 600 million or something. Okay, so that is obviously a crazy amount of money. But at the same time, Jose was given money as well in his first season. Okay, not in his second season, but Jose was going to swap us, trade Martial in for a like 31-year-old Finnish Willian, because he wanted to get rid of him. He was going to swap him for get another player in Perisic that was like 30 something as well. He was going to get Alderweireld when he was like 31. It was like a short-term solution. And I always said with Ollie that he may not be like tactically inept to get us to these trophies, the Champions League and the Premier League, the ones that we actually care about, but he is going to actually leave us with the best squad we've left. And I include Fergie in this, because people always go on about like, okay, yeah, Fergie left us with a team that won the league by like 14 points, whatever. But Vidic was like 30-odd. Ria was 30-odd. We saw when Ria went to QPR how finished he was. Evra was so old as well. Like Fergie didn't leave us with like the best team, as much as like everyone loves Fergie. And don't get me wrong, I love Fergie as well. But he didn't leave us with like an amazing team. But Ollie is going to leave us with a brilliant team moving forward. But I'm at a point now. Like I was at a point already with the last game, but now this is just moving forward now, and I'm sure it's going to be the same with Atalanta, and then with the City and Liverpool games. That I feel like he's left us with a brilliant team, but I'm really worried about us moving forward, that he just hasn't got the tactical ineptitude. And you see, like with Chelsea, with Tuchel and Lampard, I thought at the time when they first sacked Lampard that Lampard was doing a lot of good with them, with their youth things, with like bringing players like Mason Mount through, Loftus-Cheek, Callum Hudson-Odoi, and all players like that. But then you saw with their board how ruthless they were, that they sacked Lampard, bought Tuchel, and then won the Champions League. And I'm starting to think that we maybe should do that, but I have no faith in this board that they will be ruthless enough to act like how they did, and they'll wait until it's too late, till we're already out the Champions League. We're like 10th in the league or something, which is where we all head. With the run of games we're heading through, it isn't even inconceivable that a trash team like Arsenal could end up being above us in like a month or so.
Don't even say
If they-
that.
if- if
But
Arsenal
it's
lose- if
easily
Arsenal win,
with
they're
the
1 point
games we
behind
have.
us.
Yeah, they're how much? Sorry.
If Arsenal win, they are 1 point behind us. I'm pretty
Well,
sure.
there you go. And with the games we have coming up, and we've had easy games on paper, we haven't played any of the so-called big six. So Arsenal could easily be above us. And if you look at it, how many players if we had, well, I wouldn't say equal managers because their managers shit as well. But if everyone had an equal manager, how many players would you take from their team? Absolutely no one. So that says it all.
Look, to answer your question, Jay, I'm going to go over different things. I think we all know our failures in attack, right? I think they have been clear. Even though we have some of the most talented attackers in the world, we all know these things aren't there, the patterns of play, etc., whatever. I actually think not enough people, especially from reading the chat, I don't think enough people are actually looking defensively. In a game where De Gea was probably our man of the match, we conceded 4 goals. If your goalkeeper's the man of the match and you've conceded 4 goals, probably have a stinky defense, but yet you look at our defense and you go to yourself, well, actually, there's some good players. Why aren't we defending better? I think going forward, we need to be defensively better and stronger. You look at, I think it was actually the game before this one against Leicester where Ollie said something like, you can work on defensive schemes and whatnot. It's all about putting into practice. That tells me that they are aware that our defense is rubbish, right? And that they are working on defensive schemes, but clearly these things aren't effective enough to actually get better defensive performances on the pitch. So, whatever it has to be, Jay, behind the scenes that changes for that to happen, yeah, we need to shore up defensively because Liverpool will exploit us. Salah's the best player in the world right now in his form. Like his current form, he's better than anybody else in the world. He's going to exploit us defensively if we're not careful. Mane will make all the runs in the world. Atlanta, they have great, attacking players, right? A lot of their players are players who, if you don't know who they are, you'll remember them from the Euros. A lot of them were great. Look, we have to be better defensively, right? That is something that I'm not seeing enough people talking about. We have to be much stronger. Look, guys, there's been a lot of people with their super chats coming in. A lot of people, giving their opinions and whatnot, and we appreciate that. At the end of the day, it's all about opinion. I think for the most part, a lot of people are somewhat united in their opinion that it's not good enough right now. And that's okay. Whether you don't like Ollie, whether you believe Ollie's done, good in his time here, it's probably fair to say he's taken us as far as he can. How do we move forward though? We're going to have to wait and find out. I'm sure we will all be here again next week talking about many of the same problems. All we can do is hope that that's not the case. Look, I want to thank all you guys for hanging out. Beth, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you very much. I would say I'm excited for the Liverpool game, but
Yeah, as excited as you can be. Jay, thank you very much as always, brother.
Thanks, Leven. It's just sometimes you show the therapy, but tonight was just sheer frustration.
Yeah, it can be that way, man. It can be that way. No, trust me, nobody blames you. Nobody blames you for being absolutely pissed off. Alex, thank you very much for joining me as well, man.
Thanks for having me, and I'm sure it'll be another fantastic result on whenever it is, Tuesday or Wednesday, with the Atalanta game. When is it, Tuesday or Wednesday?
I think Tuesday. Is it Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Okay,
well,
great.
We'll be back then.
And I'm on the Tuesday show as well, so looking forward to it.
I'll be at the game, so I'll see what happens.
Should be fun. Guys, look, there's plenty of content up on the channel right now. I believe there were some fan vlogs. I'm sure Adam had plenty to say about that game as well, so be sure to check that on the channel. Like the video, comment down below your thoughts on the current situation at the club. I'm pretty sure I know there's going to be 2 words said a lot there in the comments, but be sure to subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. It's been a pleasure being here for you. We'll see you guys all soon. Good night.